They should be able to do it. It's not for me to do it for them.
Well, a man who's also been doing a lot of homework on this matter, Rajeev Chandrasekhar, also joins us. Rajeev, the point that, people are making is that why should you treat the 2001 to 2008 period differently?
No, I mean, I agree with Dr. Swamy. I think if somebody has a petition on 2001 to 2004, they should approach a court and have the court adjudicate it. I don't think this can be addressed on television channels when the subject matter today is this landmark judgment of the Supreme Court that essentially blows a hole in what has happened in the last 3 years. If the context of the discussion today is the last 3 years, you can't now go back and say that, 10 years ago there was another problem. Maybe there was, or maybe there wasn't. But that is for somebody to go argue that case in front of a court and have a judge adjudicate that. But let's not distract, what is a very important day for telecom, very important day for the country, by dragging in, the smoke screen that people usually bring out when we...
All right, fair enough. We won't drag in the smoke screen. We'll talk about the way forward. And what the Supreme Court has very clearly said is that within 2 months, the TRAI shall make fresh recommendations for the grant of license and allocation of spectrum, and the above direction shall become operative after 4 months. Our understanding is that even the licensees who have seen their licenses being quashed this time around will be eligible if they were to want to pursue the auction route.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, Rajeev.
No, I think, Shireen, there are some important issues here that need to be addressed, and frankly, I'm not able to understand that from the Supreme Court order as well. One of the points about introducing new licenses, one of the logic and justification was increased competition. We know for a fact that this regulator currently has slept on his job because over the last 1 year, tariffs have gone up by 30% and the regulator has not intervened. Now, if 122 licenses are cancelled, and they are not re-auctioned to new operators and instead go to an existing large operator, you create a situation where competition reduces. Therefore, it is as important for auctions to realize money for the exchequer as well as maintain the competitive landscape. As you know, there has been so much pressure and so much lobbying going on for this so-called exit policy, where people get cheap licenses and then they want to exit. It is important as much to maintain the competition level, otherwise tariffs will go up, and we have a regulator that has demonstrated, and the Supreme Court has noted that in its order, that the regulator has not done his job on more than one occasion, including on the very important public policy objective of affordability and tariffs.
Rajeev, Siddharth here, so that's a very important point, and if you look at some of the numbers that people are working on at this point of time, over the next 2 quarters, 3 quarters, they expect a similar extent of increase as the one that you just mentioned. If you do the numbers on the current volumes, you're talking about 40,000 crore, 60,000 crore, those kinds of very, very huge numbers coming in the future. So what should the TRAI be doing when it comes to the point of ensuring competition? Because clearly from the SC order, there is no specific reference to bar the promoter entities who have today lost their licenses on a deferred basis.
Look, my view on this is that the telecom regulator has a very important objective of maintaining consumer interest at his main objective. And for maintaining consumer interest, he has to either manage competition and maintain competition at a sustainable level where tariffs are at a steady state level and there are no cartelization, there is no price increases. Or if he finds that competition is reducing, he abandons this nonsense of forbearance on tariffs, he intervenes and through a public consultation ensures that tariffs are maintained at a level where there is sufficient returns to the investors as well as consumers benefit. But this regulator and the regulator before him has sat on the sidelines and said forbearance, 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 when he has unfettered powers to intervene and break cartels and prevent tariff increases, coordinated tariff increases. And we know for a fact the last 12 months tariffs have gone up by 30%.
Okay, Gopal, you want to jump in on this discussion because, you know, scathing criticism there from Rajeev Chandrasekhar as far as the role of the regulator is concerned, and pretty much scathing criticism even from the Supreme Court for the regulator. It said that the TRAI was lopsided and it acted contrary to what its objectives were for the NTP policy of 1999. It said the TRAI completely overlooked the main objectives of the NTP policy, that the TRAI's recommendations were flawed in many respects. You know, the way forward really, and now that the TRAI has to come up with a new set of recommendations.
Well, I think it's not the first time that the TRAI has been castigated. I think the regulator has completely failed, and the idea was to have a very effective, robust regulator, which unfortunately India has not seen. Now, obviously, because of the statute which creates a regulator, he has certain functions to discharge, and the court has said, look, please go to the regulator, let him make a roadmap how the auctions are to be done. But honestly, the way the 3G auctions were conducted, they were very successful. So there is already an existing model which has worked well.
Yeah.
And I think the best way is to just follow a successful model rather than try and reinvent the wheel.
Gopal, if I can come in on that, if you look at the model of the 3G auction, we had companies like Bharti Airtel criticizing it because it sort of took up the auction price levels to a very unsustainable level. The point that Rajeev made about 122 licenses getting sucked out of here further increased. The question is, how should a competition model be designed which does not see 2G spectrum prices going up? Because if you do a calculation of 540 megahertz at current market value, you're talking about at least 1 lakh crore. And that obviously the government would not want to give away. The issue therefore is affordability.
Yes. Well, firstly, as you know, mobile tariffs in India are amongst the lowest in the world.
Yeah.
Secondly, you may talk of 122 licenses. But we know realistically a large number of them never really commenced a service, though the justification given was competition. So that's not the reality at all. We've already have 8, 10, 12 operators in the circle, which is more than we have in most parts of the world. So I think actually the next round will see the serious operators be part
Only
of
the big daddies coming in.
Yes, those who actually are, you know, have run successful telecom operations, who have actually heralded in the telecom revolution in India. So the entry which was given, or the backdoor entry which was given to a large number of people, will actually, like a sieve, will actually, you know, they'll fall away. So in a way, it's a good way of cleansing the system of those who really should not have been there in the first instance.
Okay, since we're speaking of cleansing the system, Mr. Bhushan, let me just come to you because, you know, some of the foreign players and their reactions are beginning to come in now, seem to suggest that this was the policy of the government of India. This had the approval, the stamp of the government of India. Why are we being penalized? What recourse are they really left with at this point in time, if any at all?
No, you see, everybody was aware of all these dishonest dealings of Mr. Raja, his preponing the cut-off date, his fiddling with this first come, first served. Therefore, everybody was aware that this is a very dishonest way in which licenses and spectrum has been bundled out and handed out to these people. And if people want to take advantage of these dishonest dealings... Do you see any room for further legal recourse, Mr. Bhushan? Do you see any room for further legal recourse? No, I don't think so, although I am sure that many of these operators will file review petitions, etc. But I don't think it's a very, very clear judgment based on very cogent principles that, number one, you cannot give away a scarce and valuable natural resource at a throwaway price except through a transparent public auction. Number two, in any case, the preponing of the dates was dishonest and discriminatory. And number three, because it made a lot of people ineligible. And thirdly, that you can't fiddle with this first come, first served, etc.
I need to take a quick break, but in 10 seconds, Gopal Jain, is it the end of the road, really, as far as legal recourse is concerned?
Well, in a practical sense, yes. But I think when government comes up with its new policy and the roadmap is made and implementing of the Supreme Court order, I think all these factors can be taken into account and, you know, can be worked out. Because we really need a healing touch now as well. Healing touch. On that note, we'll take a break. But when we return, we will try and discuss the implications of what this order really means as far as the 2G trial court is concerned. That and more when we return.
Forgot something?
You. What makes you exceptional? Your success or the way you handle it? Introducing the new city. Exceptional. Like you.
हाँ, इसका क्लेम चेक करना है और वो हाँ इसको टैली करो क्योंकि शिंदे को भेजना है हम लोगों को। और यार मैम ये क्या है?
ये उनकी कुछ चीजें हैं जो मेरे पास पड़ी है, लेकिन